Hey, this is Ken Mahar from Email Broadcast. Thanks for clicking on this video. What I want to do today is spend a little bit of time talking about working on your business versus working in your business. You know, the end of the year comes around and it's kind of a natural time to take stock and analyze, okay, what is that I'm doing? Where is my company going? And kind of the high level strategy stuff. So I wanted to share with you some of the tools that I use. It's kind of a treasure trove of information, how I work on email broadcast as a business, not necessarily working inside of it. By the way, don't worry about writing these things down. I'll put links down below here as to the resources that I'm talking about, so it's easy to get to them. So one of the things is first to recognize that you're either working in your business or on your business. So as a business owner, a small business owner myself, I'm often found, you know, I got to do payroll. I've got some client thing that needs my attention. I have to do taxes, right? So there's all kinds of stuff that comes up that's inside of my business that could keep me very, very busy and me never thinking about the big picture and where we're going. So I wanted to just share some of my favorite tools. Hopefully you'll find some value in them about where you can get some help on finding some information about how to work on your business. So let me talk about some of my favorite tools. First off is probably a classic. It's called the E-Myth, and there's also the E-Myth Revisited. I think this is the latest version. And this is a classic book for a couple of reasons. As people venture out to start a business, often what they do is they take something that they're personally good at or that they're personally excited about, and they go off and launch a business with that idea. And then pretty soon they find themselves doing everything, and almost everything but the thing that they're actually started the business to do. Maybe a graphic designer, you decided you wanted to start a graphic design business. Well, the business part of it requires so much of your attention, you'll find yourself doing less and less actual graphic design. So this book is a great kind of checkup from the neck up on helping you figure out whether you're a technician, an entrepreneur, or a manager. And it kind of goes through each of those. Really, it's a comprehensive book about figuring out what your key metrics are, about how you run your company. I think one of my biggest takeaways was when I actually did the organizational chart for the business, not as it is today, but as the business of what I really want to build. I realized that I'm in a whole bunch of these boxes and that I needed to get help. I've got another tool about how to get help here that I'll talk about in a second, but that was a really revolutionary kind of eye-opening thing where I realized, wow, it's no wonder that I feel torn 16 different ways. It's because I'm in a whole bunch of these boxes that need to get filled with somebody else's talent. Another great part about this book is the way that they write it. There's kind of a parable inside of this. So there's a woman who owns a pie shop. She's always loved baking because it's this thing that she did with her aunt. And she's opened a bakery, and then she's found herself answering the phone, taking orders, sweeping up the floors, a lot less baking than she ever intended. And there's a story within this book about how she gets help and solves her business, which I love when you take something that's, you know, instructional and actually turn it into a real life example. I think they do a great job in this book for that. So anyway, highly recommend that book, especially if you're building a small business. Kind of going along with that, but a little bit different, is a book called Built to Sell. So if you're building a business with the thought that maybe one day you would sell it, this is an excellent and inspirational book around that topic. One of the little secrets about this book is that, once you build your business to sell, what's really happened is you've actually built a business in such a way that you've taken yourself out of the equation, because nobody wants to buy a business that's dependent on a key man, which is, you know, a phrase. They want to build a business that will work without you. And so once you've built a business that'll actually work without you, you may be really excited to actually keep the business because it'll essentially be a cash cow that you can walk away from or put on autopilot or whatever. So very good book, Built to Sell. I like that one a lot. Another kind of book that might help you think about your business differently and how you're spending your time and what you're doing is this book, Profit First. And essentially this book goes into a lot of information about paying yourself first, about being a profitable company first and foremost. Most people think of the general business formula for accounting is revenue minus expenses equals profit, right? Makes sense. This guy actually teaches you to think differently about it, and that revenue minus profit equals expenses. So in other words, how much you have left over after you profit is what you should be dealing with, and the budget you have for where you're going to make investments, how you're going to hire people, that kind of thing. So I found that really informative. Another one that I liked a lot is the 12-week year. And I'm just wrapping up this one, but I found it pretty instructive. You know, it's pretty tough to make a year-long plan that actually is worth anything after a couple of months, because we're looking so far out into the future, it's really hard to predict, and therefore the thesis here is that a year-long plan is nearly worthless. However, if you have a 12-week plan, in other words, you take 12 months and condense that into 12 weeks, and have some intensity around actually getting what you can get done in a 12-week period, which is essentially 1 quarter, it's 1 week shy of 1 quarter, that it's surprising what you can do. And this isn't just for business owners, but if you run a department or manage a store, there's a lot of good stuff in here. I'll read this quick paragraph. To become great, you must choose to allocate your time to your greatest opportunities. You will have to choose to spend time on the difficult things that create your biggest payoffs. To be great, you will need to live with intention. That will require you to be clear on what matters most, and then to have the courage to say no to things that distract you. Hard time with that one myself personally. You will need to guard your time intensely, delegating or eliminating everything possible that is not one of your strengths or does not help you advance your goal. This is on taking back control of your day, which is part of the deal of the 12-week year. One more fabulous book. I don't have my copy on me, but it's called The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes. Chet Holmes went to work for Charlie Munger, who's the co-owner of Warren Buffett's firm. Warren Buffett and him have been together for 50 years. If you don't know who Charlie Munger is. And he's taken over a couple of Charlie's businesses and made huge turnarounds for a business that Charlie invested in, thought they had a lot of upside, and brought in Chet to completely turn them around and turn them into a selling machine. He really breaks down kind of, look, there's 12 things that you must master, and goes through them one by one. If you master these 12 things, you will have a successful business, no two ways about it. And so if you have the pig-headed discipline, he calls it, to actually go through and do these 12 things, you're going to have an amazing company. Fantastic resource. I highly recommend that one as well. Lastly, probably the biggest impact that I've made here personally at Email Broadcast is finding the right people to help you. We have kind of a unique thing where we hire almost exclusively part-time contractor employees. So people that do not work for us, they work for themselves, but they are committed to email broadcast success, and they're long-term, meaning we don't just hire for a project or a gig, we want people to stay around for years and years. And so finding that kind of person has taken quite a bit of effort. So I found this solution basically on how to scale your company. There's a book called Who, and it's Solve Your Number One Problem, finding the right people. We now have, even we're hiring for a copy editor right now. We have it's a 5 to 10 hour week gig, and we have a 4-interview process. First, we fully scope the job. We have a 4-interview process. We know exactly what we're looking for. This has allowed us to make great decisions in hiring and bring on some truly quality people and have a good feeling that we're actually doing the right thing. Are we perfect? Have we been 100%? No. Compared to the previous method we had for hiring, which is like, I don't know, I guess they're fine. We're so far ahead of where we were before that if you did nothing other than read this one book out of these 5, I think you'd have a huge impact in your business. Anyway, that's it for me. It's Ken Mayar, Email Broadcast, CEO and founder. If you have other resources that you think are, transforming, if you want to make a comment below, that would be great. Otherwise, we'll see you on the internet. Thanks.